Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something so important: how to become a powerful advocate for your child in the special education system. Look, we're going to turn that feeling of confusion into real confidence by handing you the tools and the know-how you absolutely need.
And let's be real, this whole journey, it often kicks off with just feeling completely overwhelmed. That's exactly what happened to Candace, a mom of a 10-year-old with ASD. Her words right here, they just perfectly capture that initial whirlwind of fear and uncertainty that, so many parents go through.
But here's the thing about Candace's story. It points to a really powerful truth. You are not asking for a favor. Schools are federally required; they have to provide support. And your role as the parent advocate, it's absolutely vital to make sure that actually happens. So let's just start with the most fundamental idea here, the thing that's going to empower you through this whole journey. Your child is entitled to a free and equitable education. I want you to really let that sink in. This is not a privilege, it is a right. And getting that, truly understanding that, that's the bedrock of all effective advocacy. Okay, so with that foundation in place, let's start building out your legal toolkit. And it's not just one law you need to know, okay? Think of it like a collection of federal rules, and each one is designed to protect your child's rights, just from a slightly different angle. So you can basically group these laws into two main buckets. On one side, you've got your educational laws, like the big one, IDEA. That's the law that requires schools to provide what's called a free, appropriate public education. You'll hear the term FAPE a lot. Then, on the other side, you've got these broader civil rights laws. Their job is to prevent discrimination pretty much everywhere. Okay, so how do these all actually fit together? Well, IDEA is that education law, right? It's the one that leads to that specific plan called an IEP, the Individualized Education Program. But then you have Section 504 in the ADA. Remember, those are the civil rights laws. Their main goal is to stop discrimination, and they have a much broader definition of disability. So what does that mean for you? It means a child might get protection under what's called a 504 plan, even if they don't qualify for an IEP under IDEA. It's a different but still very powerful safety net. All right, now let's dig into the IDEA law a bit more, because baked right into it are these specific rights called procedural safeguards. Honestly, you should think of these as your shields, your built-in defenses. They're there to make sure the whole process stays fair and totally transparent. First up is something called prior written notice. And please don't mistake this for just a simple meeting invite. It is a critical legal document. The school has to give you a formal, written explanation for any decision it makes, or just as importantly, refuses to make, about your child's education. Why does this matter so much? It creates a paper trail, and it holds the school accountable for their reasoning. Okay, this next one is a biggie, because it really puts you in the driver's seat. It's the right to consent. The school absolutely cannot conduct an initial evaluation or start providing special ed services for the very first time without your explicit written permission. You get that? For these major steps, you are the gatekeeper. Nothing happens without your say-so. Now listen up, because this is one of the most powerful tools in your entire toolkit. It's the right to an independent educational evaluation, or IEE. If you disagree with the school's evaluation of your child, if you read it and just think, no, this isn't right, you have the right to ask for an evaluation from an outside expert. It's your way of getting a second opinion when you feel like the school's assessment just missed the mark or doesn't tell the whole story. And here's the really brilliant part of how this works. When you request an IEE at public expense, meaning you're asking the school to pay for it, the school only has two choices. They can either agree and pay for it, or they have to file for a formal hearing to defend their own evaluation. See what that does? It completely flips the script. The burden is now on the school to justify their position, not on you to prove them wrong. It's a huge shift in power. So you've got all these safeguards. You know your rights. But what happens when you're still just not seeing eye to eye with the school? What do you do when you've talked and talked, you've tried everything, and you're just stuck at an impasse? Well, that's where we get into the more formal stuff. The IDEA law actually provides 3 official paths for resolving these kinds of conflicts. These are specifically designed for when that informal back and forth just isn't cutting it anymore. So you've got 3 main options on the table: mediation, filing a state complaint, or going to a due process hearing. Think of them on a spectrum. Mediation is the most collaborative. A neutral person comes in and tries to help everyone find a compromise. A state complaint is more formal. That's when you officially report a violation of the law to the state education agency.
And then there's due process. That's the most formal of all. It's basically like a court hearing, where a hearing officer makes a final, legally binding decision.
Okay, we've talked about your legal toolkit, your defensive shields, and the different paths you can take when you disagree. But now we've got to come back to the single most important, most powerful element in this whole equation, and that's you. And please, please remember this. You are not alone on this journey. You do not have to do this by yourself. In fact, advocacy is so much stronger when it's a team effort. Bringing a friend, a family member, even a trusted professional to those school meetings can be a total game changer. Seriously. They can take notes, they can offer you support, they can just be a second set of ears. All of that helps keep you focused and feeling empowered in the moment. So let this idea be your North Star. As a parent, you're not just your child's caregiver, you are their most powerful advocate. Nobody knows your child like you do. That intimate knowledge, combined with your absolute commitment, that is a force that no one else can replicate. Your voice, your perspective, it truly makes all the difference. Look, I know this journey can feel really complex and sometimes overwhelming, but you are not powerless, not even close. With the knowledge of your rights that we've talked about, and with a support system around you, you can absolutely move forward with confidence. You can build that life of security and opportunity for your child. You've got this, for sure.